Hi Sharks, my name is Owen Fernstall,
My name's Patrick Byrne.
And I'm Tanner.
and our product is the Saint Secretaire, safety made simple.
So what is Saints Secretary? It's an app that would act as a school-wide notification, energy, helpline, and it would be designed to help those in need. It is mainly useful for sports injuries, so you don't have to deal with the walkie-talkies anymore. Like you can now use the find the phone app technology. So that's how it mainly works. And we noticed like there've been problems with physically disabled people with medical emergencies that occur on campus, and they can't get the help that they need.
Alright, so when would we use the app on a school campus? So there are many reasons, but these are some that we noticed. So sports injuries, if someone was injured in a sports match, we could use the app to notify the trainer more easily. Because I've noticed a lot of times, especially in practices, people have been injured and they're forced to just kind of wait on the sidelines for a long time because we can't get good connection, we can't talk to the trainer fast enough. And then also weather emergencies, same thing, because the trainer has to take their golf cart, go around everywhere, tell everyone to get off the course, and a lot of times it's a little hectic. So in this way, we could use the app to send a notification to every sports coach and player at the same time, so they would know to get off the field. And also tornado warnings, and also a lockdown situation, just to send a push notification to people's phones, letting them know if they, for some reason, couldn't hear anything on the intercom or something went wrong that day. And then medical emergencies, so students themselves or teachers could report anything they notice, and then custodial and maintenance situations as well. And the way that, so sports injuries and weather emergencies would be more like towards the trainer who would have the app, and then for medical emergencies, if students were in trouble, we would integrate this with the Saints Ambassador program, where the Saints Ambassadors would be the ones helping out the students who were in need.
So there's many key features such as Wi-Fi location, and it is made accessible mainly for schools. That's where we focus on starting first. And then it's very simplistic. It has a panic mode and has a colorblind option as well.
All right, now this is how it's going to make money.
All right, that's what we want to be. That's what we want to hear.
We're going to be running ads on it because people are going to open it, they're going to see the ads, and we're going to partner with Google to run these ads. Because Google, they have the data, they understand what the target audience is, they understand what sort of ads that audience is looking for, and so they select the ads and they let advertisers bid on ad space, which means that we get the maximum revenue. They also handle the billing process, which means less work on average. Now, for kind of an estimate of how much revenue we're going to be getting, and if, for example, a website that uses Google AdSense got about $48 for 1,000 views. For NSA, start off, we're probably going to be getting around 1,000 to 2,000 views a month. So we're going to be looking at $50 to $100 a month. But we're going to expand further out on the colleges and other schools in the area, which means as we expand, revenue will increase.
And also, the schools or institution that we're using would be paying a monthly fee similar to those like JSTOR and other subscription services. And that would help offset the cost of maintaining and updating the app.
All right, now what we're going to be looking at for the type of ads you're running, probably very unobtrusive. So up there, you have the mini leaderboard, like those two. That's kind of what we're going to be looking at, because we don't want it to be so obtrusive that people want to stop using the app because they can't get past the ads or anything.
Okay, so cost structures. See, these are just some of the costs that we are expecting with our app. So it should be relatively cheap to update, especially at first because we're working with such a low volume of people. And for example, using third-party websites and other apps, you can set 200,000 push notifications for about $9.99 a month. And we at the start we'll not be sending even near that amount. And then running a backend server is about $20, $60 a month. And what we would do, that would be for each school. We would have to run the app, would have to be you sign in through the school, and it's separate because, especially since it's a notification system, it can't just be the app where everyone logs on. It has to be independent from school to school. And then the largest cost would be a one-time cost. That would be the patent and the cost of attorneys, and the patent itself. We estimate would be about $5,000 to $10,000.
All right, now our main target for this is schools, both public and private. Now, what we're focusing on here is centralized campuses that, in like such as elementary to high school campuses, rather than colleges. However, in the future, we will expand to colleges, but that would mean that we have to modify the app. Some features would be removed, some would be added to kind of customize it to that different sort of like school location. And so we're gonna see like any experience, it'll be tailor-made to wherever the app is located. So it's gonna be, there are gonna be some costs in expanding it.
Alright, so this is what we give the user. We give the user the ability to communicate with others and receive assistance quickly if they're injured or in need of help with overcoming an obstacle.
So this is why we need your help. The main thing we need is room for expansion and also to pay for the patent. And we need to make our app, to expand effectively, because we're starting off on such a small scale and localized, we would have to make our app more well known, and we would have to update it to make it usable on other campuses. Because everything that applies to NSA is not going to apply to a college campus with 30,000 people, and there will be things that apply there that you would never think of happening here. So what we are seeking from you is $100,000 for a 25% stake in our company.
So I have a question about the app itself. Initially, it's just here, but you have plans for expansion. So does the school need to do anything to initially get the app, and then as a student or parent, you can go to the Google Store or the Apple Store and download the app? So is there any upfront cost that you're asking for schools? And then if you're expanding it, is there a customized app for each specific school?
So the school will be paying a monthly charge. We have like these subscription services for like databases for research, and the school pays monthly for that. So it would be similar to that, but the app itself would be free on the store, so the students would not have to pay to download the app to their phones. And then for separate schools, the app it's not going to be entirely different, but because it's a separate campus, it would have to act independently. And then especially we would have to change it for colleges though, as we expand to a larger scale. But the app structure, the bare bones structure will be relatively
Yeah, the basic
similar.
code piece of it, what you're doing is the
Relative,
same,
yes.
but JMU sitting next to me might want a JMU branded
Mhm.
app, yeah. Or UVA, it's not even one UVA.
Have you given any thought to what the app actually costs to make?
I suppose part of our like cost and why we get 100,000 revenues because we need to hire programmers. None of us know a programmer now. So part of the cost would be hiring probably around, the average salary for a programmer is around 50,000. So that'd be a big chunk of the cost.
I was happy to hear that y'all had all kind of started, looking at the patent for this. Obviously, that takes time, and as y'all said, costs some money. Is there much competition out there in this market space for issues, whether it's at other high schools or colleges that y'all looked at?
There's not necessarily an app similar to this one, but I know schools, we have the Honeywell like alert system, and there's things like that, but there isn't an app for the students themselves to download to their phone. There's just, and especially for things on campus as well, because Honeywell, as far as I know, you get the calls about schools being canceled, or I don't know if they do it if there's like weather emergencies too, but not for on school. I don't.
Okay. I feel like we've got a possible niche here that no one's taking advantage of yet.
So if we were to use this at NSA, let's just say in place of the Honeywell system, and we pay for the monthly cost and we get the app, and parents are able to go into an app store and download it, how do we make sure only our parents or you all as students are the only ones that can download that app versus that being available to the public?
So there'd probably be like a code for each school, similar to how like we have a login code for JSTOR. There would be a login code for NSA that parents and teachers could type in.
And also similar to how the school, you provide us with email accounts, you could sign in through your school email account, and you would keep, like the school itself would assign usernames and passcodes to the parents and students.
And tell me again what that monthly fee is, or that's determined or
It
not?
depends on the school and the size, but decided like anywhere from like $75 to $175 a month, depending. And that's for localized schools. For colleges, we would have to adjust that depending on what we've seen as we dealt with smaller schools.
How long do you all think it'll take you to break even?
Especially with paying the programmer, it may take a while until we actually expand to colleges. But by using the system of monthly subscription fees and ads, we are not going to. The schools will pay for the cost that we put towards that school. It's just the money that we have to spend on expansion. It will take a while until we are making steady income from that expansion.
I like the kind of position that y'all are in with competition around other, trying to find something that's a little niche for y'all with this app. So I'll get things started here, and I'll do 75,000, but I want about 35% of the.
Do you have any more offers?
I'm gonna pass on this offer. We've heard, in these 3 days, we've actually heard a lot of different types of apps. And I think it's got the basics for being a very good necessity at a school, but just needs some more R&D on how it would actually work. And who's gonna be the ones monitoring the app. I mean, that's a big, you've got the trainer on one side for one aspect, but then a lot of the other things you're talking about is who's gonna monitor that from the school, and that adds a cost to the school. So for that purpose, I'm gonna pass right now.
I'm gonna pass on this one because I think there's some other technology out there that you could use as a platform to build on. And until you know what that technology is, and the cost that you might need to license it first and then start building what you want on top of it, I wanna have that information before I make that investment.
One thing that I thought about as we were talking about this is, and I don't know, in thinking about how this would work, our HIPAA laws, which are the medical laws that disclose information about people's medical needs or that. So I do have concerns about using it for that purpose. But I really like the idea, and you all know how Honeywell works right now. So I with some modifications in that, I could see that it would be could be a really useful app in the future. But for right now, I'm gonna pass.
Advancement person here, my job is to raise money, for grants, for things that help at the school. Security is critically important. So we have raised money for security, to put the security systems in and do other things here at the school. So I'm particularly interested in this for that reason. I certainly agree with a lot of the sharks here. There's certainly some additional work we need to do to figure out how to make this really a viable option. But I'm interested in it because it's a need. We did write a grant a few years ago to try and get an outdoor paging system so that when kids are out in the fields, we're able to hit something to let people know to come in if there's bad weather that you can't get around your golf cart quick enough. And we didn't get that grant. And that pains me to this day. So I feel like this could be my option. Maybe this is an option that we could look at. We'd be willing to work together. So for that reason, and for the security of the students here, I'm interested in this app. And so I will do the 100,000 for the 25% stake.
I'll take that.
To review the offers then?
Excited.